Chabot Space and Science Center, 86,000 square foot science museum. It has a state-of-the-art 241-seat planetarium, 200-seat theater where we do hands-on science shows, laser shows, state-of-the-art 3 large telescopes, some of the largest telescopes available for public use on the West Coast, as requested by Anthony Chabot himself, that they always be free to the people of Oakland. So to this day, people can come to see the telescopes, view the stars, look out and wonder and discover.
It was just a place that I started bringing my daughters. They sort of like grew up here at Chabot. I think they can remember coming here for the last 10 plus years of their lives.
I believe that Chabot is a great place for young children to come to learn about space and also spark their imaginations on what is possible for them.
I see star clusters, galaxies, stars, and planets. It's a spacecraft.
We're not just a standalone, isolated observatory. We're actually a contributing member of the scientific community. Publications, discoveries. We've even aided in the locating of the Lost Apollo capsule with our telescope Rachel. They called the Chabot Observatory, and we were able to locate the Apollo astronauts and give coordinates to get them back home safely. And so we've really become an icon for the Bay Area.
I can't believe I went from being that little kid, curious about science and being inspired to go into science, to just having the opportunity now as an employee here to inspire other kids.
3, 2, 1. Blast off.
Spain be representing at Nebula Nest. Third telescope from Spain. Edward, this one's yours. Let's put this one together and get it up there, shall we? There we have it, another telescope ready to go up to Nebula Nest, www.nebulanest.com.au. This little beauty here is only $1.99 a month peer rental. Get on it.
Hello and welcome to the live judging session for remote imaging of the 2026 Astrophotography Prize. We're thrilled to have you joining us here for our 4th year, wherever you are in the world. Tonight we're bringing together astrophotographers, scientists, artists and enthusiasts from around the world to celebrate our shared fascination with the night sky. My name's Andy Campbell, I'm the competition director, and I'm a passionate astrophotographer. And with Robin Campbell, Daniel and Nathan Bingham, we've worked tirelessly behind the scenes to bring this judging event together today. This wouldn't be possible, of course, without the generous support of our sponsors, and we'd like to extend our sincere thanks to them. The Chabot Space and Science Centre is donating the overall winner a cash prize of USD $3,000. We're incredibly grateful to their support, and there'll be an exhibition to follow of the finalists in October this year and at Chabot. It'll be fantastic. Chabot is a 501c3 non-profit science centre and observatory that's been Oakland's home of science since 1883. Chabot invests in a belief that science belongs to everyone and that the next generation of scientists, engineers and innovators are already here, waiting for the right spark. The centre offers immersive exhibits, planetarium shows, hands-on programs, plus 3 historic telescopes that are open for free public viewing every Friday and Saturday night. And they're proud to showcase the winning images of the Astrophotography Prize in October 2026. We would like to thank our generous category sponsor, Deep Sky West. The remote category is sponsored by Deep Sky West, and the category winner will win a year's free hosting at their fabulous remote observatory in New Mexico at 7,400 feet under pristine Portal 1 skies. And this is valued at USD $5,000. So how incredible is that? So we also have Lloyd Smith, co-founder, with us, judging the category. Hey, Lloyd. Additionally, the winner will also receive a 12-month Voyager Advanced license. This is valued at $615, and Voyager Advanced takes astrophotography automation to the next level with powerful scheduling, remote observatory management, advanced moon avoidance, horizon control, and the fantastic robo-target system. It's designed for serious imagers who want reliable, unattended imaging. So, here's how today's judging will run. Each of our 25 remote imaging finalists will be judged live by our fabulous panel with real-time commentary, insights, and challenges. Scores will be displayed on the screen as we go, and once all the 25 images have been judged, the panel will then deliberate offline to determine the winner from the top 5. So, this category is for astronomical images captured using remote telescope systems where the imaging equipment is located away from the entrant but operated under the entrant's direct control. This includes privately owned, rented, leased, host, or subscription-based remote observatories and telescope systems. Eligible subjects include star clusters, globular clusters, supernova remnants, nebulae, galaxies, galaxy clusters, and of course, solar system objects, including comets, planetary bodies, the moon, and the sun. All the image data must be acquired under the entrant's direct control. The entrant is solely responsible for target selection, target image acquisition, and the operation of the system during the capture process. So before the judging begins, and before I introduce our fabulous panel, let's have a sneak preview of the top 25 images in this category. Over to you, please, Daniel. All Alrighty then. Some pretty fabulous work there, folks. It's going to be exciting. Let me introduce the team. So I'd like to start with Alyssa Pagan from the United States. Alyssa is the science visuals developer at the Space Telescope Science Institute, creating color images of cosmos data collected by the James Webb Space Telescope, the Hubble, and other space telescopes. Alyssa holds degrees in astronomy, art, and design, combining scientific knowledge with visual storytelling to create images that are both scientifically accurate and visually compelling. Her work aims to make the universe more accessible, inspiring, and engaging for audiences all around the world. I briefly mentioned Lloyd Smith. Lloyd returns as a member of the Astrophotography Prize remote imaging team, and of course he's co-founder of Deep Sky West, our fabulous sponsor for the category. I mentioned that Deep Sky West has remote observatories in New Mexico. They also have one in Chile, providing images worldwide with access to dark skies, advanced equipment, and professional technical support. The observatory became operational in 2015 in Rowe, New Mexico, with exceptionally dark and transparent skies. Lloyd is an accomplished imager in his own right, with extensive experience in both the technical and creative aspects of remote astrophotography. His knowledge of remote imaging makes him a valuable addition to the judging team. Hey, Lloyd.
Hey, Andy. Thanks a lot, man. Good to see you.
I'd like to introduce Mike Selby. Mike's from Thailand. Good morning, sir. Very early over there.
Good morning.
Mike is a deep space astrophotographer with 15 years of experience, currently operating 4 remote telescopes in Chile. His work has earned numerous NASA Astronomy Photographer of the Day features, or APODs, a runner-up position in the Galaxies category of the 2022 Royal Greenwich Observatory Photographer of the Year, and a shortlist placement in 2023. With a background in radio frequency engineering, law, senior Thai government administration, and film production, Mike brings a fascinating combination of technical expertise and diverse professional experience to our judging panel. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks very much.
I'd like to welcome Dr. Tanya Hill from Australia here in Melbourne. Tanya is an astronomer, science communicator, and an honorary fellow in physics at the University of Melbourne. She was a member of the team that established the Melbourne Planetarium at ScienceWorks, where she now develops award-winning planetarium shows telling the stories of the universe. These productions are licensed to planetariums across Australia and in more than 20 countries worldwide. Tanya is a familiar voice on Australian radio and regularly presents talks and lectures, including the Melbourne Planetarium's popular Discover the Night series. She also writes the Look Up column for The Conversation. Before moving into science, Tanya researched extragalactic astronomy, using Australian telescopes to search for supermassive black holes. She's an honorary fellow of the Astronomical Society of Australia and Australia's representative for the European Southern Observatory Science Outreach Network. Welcome, Tanya.
Good morning.
I'd like to welcome from Singapore, Marco Lorenzi. Marco's been with us before. He's a fabulous addition to the panel. Marco is an Italian astrophotographer based in Singapore. He has over 30 years' experience capturing planetary images locally and deep sky targets from Chile. His work is widely published, earning multiple APODs. He's winner of the Deep Sky and Robotic Imaging sections in 2011 and a recent runner-up in the planetary category in 2023. He's one of my favorite astrophotographers. I love his work. Welcome, Marco.
Hello, hi everybody, and apologies for the voice.
Marco is not feeling 100%, but we love him coming on board today. And by no means last but not least, I'd like to welcome Steve Boddy from Australia. Steve is a Melbourne-based award-winning astrophotographer, music composer, and educator with expertise in image processing and collaborative imaging. He's a member of the Deep Sky Collective and the New Horizon team. He's contributed to discoveries including SDS-01, the first identified ghost planetary nebula, and co-authored related research. Steve's work has received huge international recognition, including multiple NASA APODs, 19 Astrophotography Images of the Day, that's probably out of date now, and top honours in the Australian Photographic Prize 2023 and multiple shortlistings in the Royal Greenwich Astronomy Photographer of the Year. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, Andy. Pleasure to be here.
And I just love the accent. All right, team, let's get started. So just for the audience's benefit, there will be a halftime break so everyone can recharge. That'll just be for a few minutes. So let's begin with the top 25 deep space images. Let's bring up our first image. At your convenience, Daniel. Okay, so what we're seeing here is a narrowband excursion off the beaten path, showing the complex interplay of dust and interstellar gas along the edge of the Running Chicken Nebula, displayed in a colour-shifted SHO palette. The image is taken in Chile on an ASA 600 telescope, and we are looking at 39 hours of data. And we're off to a good start. This image is currently scoring a solid silver award at 89, but we have not one but two judges who have scored this higher, and that's into the gold range, which means we're going to initiate a challenge, and we're going to start that challenge with our highest scoring judge, Dr. Tanya Hill, at 93. Take it away, Tanya.
Oh, fantastic. Look, I think this is a beautiful use of the colours. I believe it's a Hubble palette. I'm sure Alyssa know all about this. So yeah, I just think that it really draws out that lovely detail in the nebula as it's been kind of ionized or making the light glow in this really lovely way so that you can see all the dark dust clouds. And I think they've done a really great job.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Now, there are no low-scoring judges, but the lowest of our high-scoring judges is Alyssa at 87. Alyssa, could you talk to this image, please?
Yes, and I'm rethinking my score, actually, but it's a very beautiful image, as Tanya was saying, that there's a lovely color palette, and it's very varied, and I really like that. I'm not sure if it's just maybe it's just the right bottom part that like I get a little stuck with, because maybe it's pulling a little bit too much focus there just because of how dark it is. But I also understand this is a much larger nebula and you're giving us a really interesting crop. So I think that's okay. I think I'm just getting a little distracted by it, but it's really beautiful. It's really well processed, really nice structure, beautiful color.
Thanks so much, Alyssa. Now, in support of Tanya's quest for gold, we have Mike Selby. Mike scored this one at 91.
This is a very, very nice image. It's technically almost flawless. I would have actually given it a higher score, but the color palette is verging a touch towards green, and I'm not really a green fan. On the other hand, details captured perfectly, not over sharpened, well balanced on the stars. Really good image.
Thanks so much. Tanya, you have right of reply.
I just want to say that I love that Alyssa brought up about the cropping, because that was another thing that I really loved about the image. I kind of like that it goes from that darkness in the corner and then the lovely wispiness of the blue towards the top of the image.
Alrighty then. We're going to lock Tanya's score of 93 in, and everyone else is now free to rescore this image as they see fit based on the comments. And the image now scores a gold by majority at 90. Congratulations to the entrant. Woohoo! That's a heck of a start, folks. Alrighty, let's go to our next image, please. All right, we are looking at a deep field of the Hydra cluster, Able 1060, 160 million light years away, centered on NGC 3311 and NGC 3309, revealing countless galaxies across multiple cosmic distances. This is also taken in Chile and on a planewave CDK-17. We are looking at 123 hours of data here. Wow. Okay. Straight to gold. Okay. 3 judges went straight to gold on this one, and that's extraordinary. Well done. Congratulations to the entrant. Look, let's run this as a challenge. Because we do have one judge slightly higher than the others. That's Marco. I think we should talk about the image just because there are a good scoring range here. So, Marco, if you could take it away, please, sir.
Yes. So first, I like very much this field. Is one of my April that also in the many years ago. What I particularly like of this image is the tightness of the stars and the very good processing of the background, which is not too dark, it's not too bright, it's just perfect in the way you see. So I see a really multitude of galaxies and details. It's not absolutely perfect because there is a little bit of green on the two major stars and then maybe a little bit overpowering the diffraction spikes. But overall, resolution and everything else, I believe, is spot on.
Thank you so much. What am I saying? Let's go to Mike Selby, please. Mike, your score is a little lower than the others.
This is a nice image. And it's a very tricky subject. 1060 is actually quite large, so picking what part in this particular image scale is not easy. However, there were a couple of things that troubled me. The stars are just overpresented, and in the sharpening process, a lot of them have panda eyes, which I thought was distracting. There's also a little bit of over sharpening on the galaxies in an attempt to get detail. And some of the other galaxies are a bit blown out because dynamic range is a problem on this cluster. So I still think it's a very nice image and it's a great effort.
Thanks so much, Mike. Let's also hear from Alyssa. This is your kind of special field of endeavor. If we could hear from you as well, please.
No, I think deep fields like this are hard because of the dynamic range and making it look interesting because it's like, okay, so you have a bunch of galaxies. So you had to really get a long exposure to bring that out. And I think it's really interesting. And to make some field like this interesting is really well done. I think you're using the stars as a way to frame it, which I think is a very interesting way to do it. I think I agree with Marco and I agree with Mike that it's a beautiful image. I think maybe if we could just bring down the gradient around the stars or a little bit of the halo, I think it would just be perfect.
Thank you so much. Marco, back to you. Or has it all been said?
I align with the others. So to me, the score overall on the average is okay.
Thank you, folks. We're going to lock Marco's score of 92 in and we'll ask everyone else to rescore, please. And the image remains at 90, and we had a good chance to talk about it, so congratulations on your gold award. Alrighty, let's go to the next image, please. Okay. So SH2-1 and the LBN dust clouds is a striking reflection nebula located in the Scorpius claw. This image aims to capture the interplay between the HA and the dust to provide a sense of depth and harmony. This one's taken in Australia at Swan Reach on a Takahashi FSQ 106 and a Player One Zeus Mono full frame camera. We're looking at just under 19 hours of data. And the image is currently scoring 88. Very, very solid silver award. But we're not done because we have two judges at a much higher level in the gold range, the highest of which is Alyssa. Take it away.
All right. Yes, I love this image. I think it's so interesting. And I'm not very familiar with this region, so maybe people are more familiar and have kind of seen it before. But to me, it's very new and unique. And you achieve exactly what, the observer wanted to achieve, which is this fairly beautiful, subtle, wispy play between the H alpha and the dust. And I think they handled it in not a over the top way. It's just nicely done, nice contrast. Yes.
Thank you so much. Tanya, you've given this a good score, just not quite as high as the others.
Yes, again, it's not an area that I'm used to either. In some ways, I almost feel like we're too close to it. And I wonder if, it's kind of a bit too overwhelming. Where do I look? And maybe I'm not sure what the outer part of it is, but I don't know whether if we were zoomed back a little bit, maybe that would just give you a bit more of a focus to the image. But it is an absolutely gorgeous shot, and I love the pinks and the blues coming through. Really well done.
Thanks so much, Tanya. Lloyd, you've scored this right on the average at 88. Could we hear from you, please, sir? Just on mute there, bud.
I'm jumping around too many screens. Yeah, I'll give you a few words on the image. I agree that it's interesting. You know, I know this area. I'm puzzling over it because it's shot on an FSQ. I would think the field's a little wider. I'm not sure that it doesn't really impact my my assessment. It's just a curiosity. I think it's very solid. What I would ask the imager to take a look at is the treatment of the stars. And I know they're difficult, but as you absorb the deep, pink and pinkish reddish hues and the cool overlaying dust, I find distracting kind of the halos that have occurred to the stars. And it may not be something you can do anything about, but my sense is it looks almost pattern-like. So I would ask the imager to address it, but I did score it solidly and think it's pretty good.
Thanks so much, Lloyd. Alyssa, back to you. Some work to do there.
Yeah. No, I see what Lloyd is saying, and I'll say I think I like that just because I think it's kind of like connect the dots in that type of way in terms of like exploring the image. It's kind of the movement of it. Yeah, I think it's just the contrast of the structures that I find so intriguing. I just think it's a unique, interesting thing to look at.
Thanks so much, Alyssa. We're going to lock your score in of 93, and we'll ask the others to rescore now, please. Oh, you did it. The image got a gold. Congratulations to the entrant. Yeah. And that's a fantastic debate and battle there. Well done, Alyssa. Congratulations to the entrant. All right, let's go to the next image, please. So here we have the central section of IC 2944, aka the Running Chicken Nebula, a stunning field of glowing clouds and gas located in Centaurus. The small dark patches are Thackeray's globules, dense clumps of gas and dust. This is taken in Chile on a CDK 17-inch telescope, 33 hours of data here. I should mention to the audience that the judges have the ability to pixel peep these images at 100%. They've had plenty of time to look deeply at all of these images in advance, so they're not just making up their scores on the spot. And they're doing their very best to look at all your images and assess them with great care and the respect that they all deserve. This image is scoring 87, a very solid silver award. We have two judges who have just nudged this into the gold range, the highest of which is Marco. Marco, shall we have a little chat about this one, do you think?
Okay, first of all, it's a very good image, very beautiful image on a lovely area. What I appreciate is the capacity to manage the very strong dynamic range. Whoever tried to take pictures of this region knows it's very difficult to manage the very strong, the very bright areas and the darker parts of the nebula. I didn't go on a little bit higher score because there is a tad of greenish here and there, which is not actually my favorite. But the size of the stars, the management of the dynamic range, everything else to me is very well done. Very well done.
Thank you so much, Marco. Let's hear from Alyssa. You're at the other end of the scoring range at 83.
Yeah, I hear what Marco's saying. I think it's a really interesting image, and I like the way that it's cropped, and I like the sort of the color palette that's spread. I think for me, because you're trying to compress the dynamics range so much, it feels a little bit flat. So all the colors kind of feel like the same intensity to me. So I think that's just why I docked it a bit. But overall, I do think it's a really interesting image, and the sort of the contrast, not just between the colors, but the structures, the wispiness, and the dense dust, I think is really effective.
Thank you so much. Now, you're not alone there, Marco. Mike Selby's there with you. Mike, could you talk to the image, please?
I like the image. It's a fairly common target, but there's a reasonable gamut on the color. No mistakes made. Framed well. Stars are handled well. It's a good sense of depth in the middle. It's a nice image.
So, Marco, back to you, sir.
I think I can try to give another one and see if we can bring this one closer to gold.
All right, team. Thanks, Marco. Let's lock you in at 91 and see what happens with the score. Everyone's free to rescore now. The image has gone up a point to 88. Very solid silver award. That's a great score. Congratulations. Let's have a little judge switcheroony now. Marco, we'll give you a little break to grab a glass of water, and we'll bring Steve Body onto the panel, please. And let's go to the next image. Okay, we're looking at Galileo's finger through a faint HA veil near a threshold. Whoa, hang on, let me reread that. I'm sorry. Galileo's finger through a faint HA veil A near threshold HA veil rather than a bright red sea. Dust sets the direction, HA builds the depth, and distant galaxies still thread through the field. This one's taken in China, and it's taken on a Skyrover 180 Apo Pro. We're looking at 14 hours of data. This image scores gold unanimously at 92. Wow, we have 92, 92, 90, 93, and 93. All right, Steve's got his hand up. I think we should challenge it. Let's see what this can do. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful image, really well presented. The interplay between VHA and the dots is really well handled. In terms of processing, to me, it's close to flawless. There's still a little bit of grain in the image, the color of the dust. The stars are beautiful. I love the framing and the sense of movement you get from the dust. I think it's extremely well executed. One of the best image of this region that I've seen. So that's why I'm scoring it so high.
Amazing. Mike Selby, you're the lowest of the gold scorers at 90.
I tend to agree with Steve. I would have maybe liked to have seen a touch more color pickup in the dust cloud, but it's an excellent image. Framed well, no criticisms.
Tanya?
For me, it's the color and the framing. Getting those two right, I just think it looks amazing. And also those lovely galaxies that you can see as you zoom around the image.
Steve, anything further to add?
Not really. I think it's just a standout from a photographer. Really, just the subtlety that in the approach and the processing is what I really appreciate. It looks very natural, so very well done.
Well, now that we've all had a little chance to reflect and talk about this image, let's rescore this one. We'll lock Stephen at 93 and everyone else is free to rescore. And it's gone up a point to 93. Congratulations to the entrant. Now, every point does count because the top 5 will go for reassessment at the end of this. And who knows what will happen there. All right, then. Let's move on to our next image. So here we have the V shadow in Chameleon, a dark molecular cloud showing faint interstellar dust and the quiet structures of a southern star-forming region. This is taken in Dimboola in Victoria, Australia, on a William Optics UltraCat 76. And we are looking at just under 11 hours of integration time. This image is currently residing on 89, a very solid silver award. We have a pretty compressed scoring range. The highest is 91, the lowest is 86, I beg your pardon. So let's have a chat about this one. Lloyd, you're in gold.
Yes, I'm going to speak to this image. So we've seen this before, and it's very well handled. In particular, tell my dog to be quiet. In particular, what I appreciate, besides the obvious treatment of the dust, is the finesse with the star field and how it's super well handled. Now, it's easy to zoom in a little bit and notice some of the rounding, around the nebula and the streaming of the dust clouds. But this is an UltraCat. It's not the Hubble. So I'm not going to. I don't penalize it for that aspect of from a technical perspective. Where the imager could, they perfected, in my opinion, this image.
Thank you, Lloyd. Let's hear from Tanya, please.
Yes, so I mean, it's a beautiful image. I suppose for me, it was just what was my first effect when I saw it, and it didn't quite pop off the page enough for me. Whether that's because of the subtlety of the stars, I do appreciate though that may have been the intention. To it's more an image that you mull over, I think, which can be brilliant in its own right. I also too just want to jump in a little bit, the science background. I do love this area in space because what we're looking at here are molecules that we're using JWST. We've found that there are ices in this gas cloud. So the kind of stuff that Neptune and Uranus are made of. So to know that exists before the stars are even around, to me that I love the science and bringing out that in the image as well. So yeah, what you're looking at here is material that is already there, ready to form exoplanets potentially one day. But just in terms of my score for this one, it was just I needed a bit more poppiness to it, I think.
Thank you so much. That's really interesting. That's cool. I love that dissertation. Please feel free to jump in anytime you want to do that. That's great. Thank you, Tanya. Alyssa, can we hear from you, please? Your score is right on the average.
Yes. No, I do love this image. I love the framing. I love the movement. I think unfortunately I've been a little bit biased because I have seen this image too, and I think where that image had a little bit more color in sort of like the reflection of the stars, I think that helped make it a little bit more colorful. And that's the only thing that I feel like is just a little bit of lacking here, is just a little bit of having those blue stars sort of pop and then getting that dust just a little bit brighter in like an orange hue. But overall, beautiful image, so interesting, beautifully captured and framed.
I think a couple of you mentioned the star color, and I understand where you're coming from. The kind of grayness, if you will, of the dust can often be compensated for by more saturation in the stars. My general problem with that is stars end up looking like gumdrops, and they don't look like that. And that's why I describe this as a finesse way of handling that, because the color shading on stars is subtle. Now, is that proper for an astro image? That's subjective. My answer is I thought it was finesse, delicately and avoided the gumdrops.
Very quickly, Steve, did you have something else to add there?
Yeah, I love this image, but the reason I didn't score it gold is because, by comparison, I've seen this field captured slightly differently before, and the problem that I have is the big, bright blue stars at the top right corner cast some blue reflections around the dust, and it's been completely eliminated in this image. And to me, it's one of the striking feature of this image when that's there, just really adds that extra mojo, and I'm just missing that.
Thank you, Steve. All right, team, this one's currently on 89. Lloyd is on a quest for gold. If you could all rescore, Lloyd will lock in your 91. And the image remains just out of gold at 88. A very solid silver award. Congratulations to the entrant. Let's have the next image, please. So here we're looking at Comet C 2025A6 Lemon and its mind-blowing tail from October the 30th. Oh, that's my birthday. This is taken in Texas in the United States on a ZWO ASI 2600 mm and an ASCAR FRA 600. 33 minutes exposure. All right. We probably don't need to talk about this one, but we probably will anyway. This is a unanimous gold at 92. And because you're all so close in your scoring, I'm going to pull what we call a chairperson's challenge here. And you're all going to be free to rescore this one as you see fit. That said, we still would like to get a couple of judges to talk about it. We'll start with Tanya because you're the highest, and then we'll go to Mike, who is the lowest, and then we'll all be free to rescore the image.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful photogenic comet, but I think it's been photographed in a brilliant way, just the movement and the framing of the piece. And then just to have captured, I mean, the comet is around at a perfect time when the solar activity had been quite strong. So you've got this amazing disconnection event, which is the fact that the ion tail, that is the blue tail that we see, it's been buffeted around by the intense solar wind. And just the detail in that is stunning. And then also for me, and then also capturing towards the nucleus of the comet, just the broadness of the dust tail as well. I thought it really displays everything nicely.
Thanks, Tanya. Mike?
Very nice image. It's gold. I was a touch uncomfortable with the way the ion trail was cut off, but perhaps there was no choice in that, but it's a great image.
All right, folks. Now, as this is a chairperson's challenge, which is a button only I get to press occasionally, you're all free to rescore now. And the image remains at 92. Congratulations, a very, very, very solid gold award and a beautiful image. Let's have a judge change. Let's bring Marco back on board, and let's swap Mr. Selby, give you a little break, and we'll bring Marco back on. Thank you so much, and let's go to the next image. So here we have the Methuselah Nebula, MWP1, PK 080-10.1 in HOO with RGB stars. This is taken near Aubrey, California, on a planewave CDK-14. We're looking at 54 hours data on a QHY 600M camera. I should mention that the judges have all the technical details at their fingertips, so they know exactly how much exposure has been given to each filter, what mount is being used, what telescope, what camera. It's all there for them to help them make their assessments. And this image is a gold at 90. Now, the highest scoring judge here is Dr. Tanya at 91. So we'll hear from Tanya, then we'll hear from Alyssa, and then we'll take it from there.
So this was an interesting one for me, particularly because I don't like too much kind of bold colours that lean towards sort of brightness and a bit unnatural. But I think the way that the green has been used here is really interesting, and the details that have come through. It's a beautiful planetary nebula. So the depth of a star, mid-range star like our sun. And I just, yeah, the colours in this one really grab me, even though they're not particularly what I would tend to go with. So that's why I kind of bumped it a little bit higher.
Thank you, Tanya. Let's go to Alyssa.
I think it's a really nice image, and the structure is really interesting, and I'm not so familiar with it, so I think it's really well done. I think for me that it just threw me off is like the two-tone nature of it. So I was expecting maybe a little bit more color separation in the nebula itself, but then again, looking at what you shot it in, maybe that wasn't to be expected. But I think it's handled very well. I like that it's not over processed. It feels really nice. So I might reconsider.
Thank you. Let's hear from Steve. He's in support of this one. He's just nudged it into gold.
Yeah, I just really like how natural the processing looks, especially the handling of the detail in VO3. It's actually, from a difficulty point of view, it's quite a difficult target to process well. I think I would have liked maybe a little bit more VHA to create just a little bit more pop. And I think with 54 hours on, is it a CDK? Yeah, like maybe that could have been brought out a little bit more, but really, really good image.
All right, then. Tanya, back to you.
Again, as I said, it was just a different take to what I've seen before, and I was surprised by how much I really enjoyed it and liked it.
Let's rescore this one, folks. Tanya's locked in at 91. Let's see what everyone else is going to do. And the image retains its gold award at 90. Congratulations to the entrant. Well done. Very beautiful image. All right, let's move on to the next image in the remote imaging category, please. So here we have NGC 253, dust lanes and fireworks. NGC 253 appears as a blade of light. LRGB reveals dust lanes and stellar color, while the HA ignites pink star-forming knots across the disk. This is taken in Chile on a Takahashi CCA 250. We're looking at just under 21 hours of integration time of this classic galaxy. And this image scores 86, a very solid silver award. All the judges are almost of the same score here. So let's get a comment on this one from Dr. Tanya Hill.
Yeah, so it's a lovely, lovely galaxy. I know this one well. It's one of the things that I was researching was that interplay between starbursts, where you have lots of star formation going on, and then the supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy. And this was a known galaxy to have both of these effects occurring. But to me, I just think that the H alpha, those little star forming regions, they tend a bit too much luminous pink. And so that takes me out of feeling that this is a more natural image.
Thank you so much, Tanya. We'll have a quick judge switcheroonie now. We'll bring Mike Selby back on and we'll give Lloyd a quick break. And let's move on to our next image, please. So here we have an orange reflection nebula is unusual, but the full HA shell was a surprise. The entrant likes how the local dust appears both in front and behind the shell, telling us it is part of the scene. This is taken in Chile as well on a planewave CDK-17. We are looking at 96 hours and 45 minutes, and the entrant has used chroma filters. Yay, go chroma, one of our sponsors for the Astro Prize in a different category. It's a gold rush today. This image has scored a gold at 90. Well done to the entrant. Congratulations. The highest, oh gosh, we've got a pair of judges both on the same highest score. Who wants to challenge this one, Steve or Tanya?
Come on.
All right, Steve, you're up.
Sorry, Tanya. First of all, it's a really difficult target to process well. So in terms of level of difficulty, it's pretty high up there. I think the definition in this image is really, really beautiful, really well handled. I just love that you see the interplay of the dust. Yeah, I really, really love it.
Thank you so much. Mike, you liked this one, but not quite as much as the others. Could we hear from you, please?
Yes, like Steve said, this is IC222O is a difficult image to process. This is very well presented. The use of the HA really frames it nicely. Where I had a little bit of a problem is that the central portion is blown out. And having done this image before and seen it many times, that area can be handled where it doesn't need to be blown out. And that's what kept me from scoring higher.
Thanks so much. Let's bounce this one around a little bit more. Let's hear from Alyssa, please. You're on 88.
Yeah, this is a beautiful image that I'm not very familiar with. So like I didn't know sort of the expanse of what it takes to take it. So it's really nice to hear that. It's really interesting. I love that variation of color. I do love that sort of orange center. I think what I just got a little thrown off by the dust, but not because I can tell that was a choice and it was a hard thing to do to bring it out. So I do really like it. I think at first it just kind of feels like it's like kind of smoke in the way. It's sort of like a gradient, but I know it's not. It's just kind of like my initial gut reaction. But I do think it's a really compelling, interesting image. And I think they did a really good job.
Thank you so much. Let's hand this one over to Tanya now. Sorry, you didn't get a chance to challenge it, but you can certainly talk about it. And while you're talking about it, can you tell me what it is that makes this orange?
Oh, to be honest, this was an area sky I wasn't aware of. So I am assuming it kind of looks the shape of a planetary nebula again, but I'm happy to be judged by corrected by that if not. In terms of the image itself, what I found interesting in this one was the diffraction spike of the star at the center. This is one where I feel like those diffraction spikes have been used in a beautiful way to really highlight and draw your eye into that central glow. Michael, I take what you're saying about how you can bring that out a bit more, but to me that's also part of the image, and then to have that the H alpha then framed so nicely in terms of just the aesthetics of looking at a beautiful image. I think this one is really up there.
Thanks so much. All right. Steve, has it all been said, or do you have more to add?
No, it's a really good comment from Mike about the handling of the dynamic range in the center. And in a way, I kind of like that it's, we really see the full dynamic range. It hasn't been completely compressed in the middle because of this bright star in the middle. So I indeed agree that there could be more details, but I also appreciate the fact that it's bright as well. So, yeah.
Alrighty then. Steve, you're locked in at 93. Everyone else is free to rescore this image. And the image has gone up a point, and every point counts. So this is a gold award at 91. Congratulations. And let's move on to the next image, please. Okay, so here we're looking at the southern crown of Corona Australis, a molecular cloud complex, and an extremely dynamic region of the Milky Way where darkness and brilliance and the death and birth of stars coexist. This one's taken from Namibia, and we are looking at it's taken on a ASA 26 MC Pro and a Skywatcher Esprit 80 EDX, 23.5 hours data. Wow. This image has scored gold. 90. I love it. This is great. Tanya, you're the highest at 91, and then we'll hear from Marco after you.
Okay, I love the dynamics of this image, the way the dust is kind of framed and moving through, and the way it sits against the background of all of those stars. I think is beautiful. Yeah, that's what I would say about it.
All right, let's hear from Marco now, please.
Yes, I mean, this is a very classic, beautiful object. I imagine it many times at different focal lengths. Overall, it's nice. There are a few things, however, don't convince me at all. First, the background is a little bit too dark, and the stars a little bit too sharp, too invasive. And there are several parts where there is an overexposure, especially on the eyes of the baboon. This is called ant nebula or baboon nebula, depending on the position you put it, which actually is missing a little bit on making a solid gold, in my opinion. Is deep, so overall, I believe is still a very nice result, but just missing a bit to be a full gold, in my opinion.
Thank you so much. Let's hear a little bit more on this one. Let's also hear from Steve.
So yeah, it's a classic field, beautifully composed. I think the problems that I had with it is the stars, the bright stars are a little bit, I don't know, blown out to me. Also, there's this band on the right side of the image, which is a little bit distracting. I'm wondering if I would have cropped this a little bit better. And there's a fair amount of contrast, and I'm starting to lose some vibe from the dust a little bit for me. That's why I didn't score it higher. But really well done from the photographer.
Thank you, Steve. Now, in support of Tanya's quest for gold, we have Mike Selby. Let's hear from you, Mike.
I like the image. I was surprised at the telescope used. I think for the equipment that was used, this is really an excellent job with smart framing. There are some small issues with the stars. There's a touch of gradient on the right, but I think the image composes well.
All right, then. Thank you, Mike. Back to you, Tanya.
No, I appreciate the comments from the other judges. But as I said, it's interesting. I like that darkness in the background and the stars, but it's good to hear what other people feel as well.
Folks, this image is currently scoring gold. If you could rescore, Tanya, we're locking in your 91. Image remains at 90. Congratulations on your gold award. Well done. Yes, as Marco was saying, they call this one the anteater sometimes, or the wizard. It's quite a funky looking thing, isn't it? It's really cool. And if you get right in close, there's like this little walking stick thing, which is in HA. Very extraordinary target to shoot that one. Well done. We'll have a little judge change. Alyssa, we'll give you a quick break if that's okay, and we'll bring Lloyd back on. Let's go to the next image, please. Okay, so here we have Markarian's chain, a much-loved region of space. This area is filled with hundreds of galaxies bound to each other by a string of dust. Well, bound to each other in a string of dust. This one's taken in regional Victoria, Australia, on ASCAR 120 telescope with an ASA 2600 mm Pro camera. We are looking at just under 70 hours of data. And this image scores 87, a very solid silver award, with scores ranging from 82 all the way through to a little bit higher than that. Tanya, are you comfortable with that, or do you want to take it on?
No, I think that's fair. I will say I'm a galaxy girl at heart, so it was lovely to see this image. And what I liked about it was the fact that the yellows hadn't pulled too much, which I often find in regions like this. Whereas I like the balance, so that's what I was awarding in my mark. But I think it's well done to the photographer. It's a lovely image.
Thank you so much. Tanya, we'll accept and lock in that score of 87 for the image. But while I've got you, can you tell us a little bit more about Markarian's chain?
Yeah, sure. So there's, I believe that 6 or 7 of these galaxies have actually been found to be co-moving, which means that they are connected and so moving together in space. Whereas you'll see there's a lot more galaxies there in that image. Those ones are just sort of chance alignments. And then right in the center is where you've got 2 lovely galaxies merging together, which then brings you that blue of new star formation occurring. And it's right in the heart of the Virgo cluster. So the big cluster of galaxies that's near our region of space.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next image now, folks. Okay. So with a globular, reflection and dark emission nebulae and H. Herbig-Haro objects, this target has it all. I felt the HA was critical to add dynamic color and fully represent the glow of Herbig-Haro objects in the dust. This is taken in Chile on a QHY 600M and a Planewave DR 350 telescope. We're looking at just over 32 hours of integration time. All right, this one's a big fat gold award as well. Congratulations to the entrant. This scoring range is extraordinary in that every judge has given this gold. So I think I'm going to pull on the chairman's challenge again here, folks, just so we can have a little chat about the image. You'll all get a chance to rescore it, and we'll just see where this image will go. So we're going to start with Steve. You're the highest of our gold scorers. And then we'll hear from Dr. Tanya.
Oh, I think it's just beautifully handled, the framing, the details, the integration of the HA, the balance of the colors, the resolution of the star cluster, the detail in the dust. It's not overdone. It's just, I had a great emotional impact first seeing this image. So it did definitely have a wow factor, and it's from a technical standpoint and a creative standpoint really, really well executed. So that's why I scored it so high.
Fantastic. Tanya?
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic zoom into this region. And I love that we're looking here at the whole kind of range of the life cycle of the stars. You've got that dark, dense cloud of fuel that will one day become stars. You've got the Herbig-Haro objects where you've got these bright newborn stars that are sending out all of this light reflected in the blue reflection nebula. And then, of course, I believe it's a chandelier globular cluster. So there you've got all the old stars. So that's already happened up in the top corner of the image, and now it's floating through the rest of the nebula. And it really, this image captures that excitement of how stars live and die.
Thank you so much. All right, team, as this is a chairperson's challenge, I'm going to wipe the scores and ask you to all rescore this one if you would. And it's gone up a point to 93. Congratulations on your gold award. Well done. And for those of us who have the ability to zoom in to 100%, and that's all the judges and me, every single star in that globular is perfectly resolved. It's beautifully done. Congratulations. That's a classy piece of work. All right, Tanya, we're going to give you a quick break, if that's okay, and we'll bring Alyssa back on. And let's go to the next image, please. So here we have from the fox fur to the cone, LRGB plus continuum subtracted HA and O3. The goal was to preserve broadband color while enhancing the image with narrowband detail. I'll just read that again. From the fox fur to the cone, LRGB plus continuum subtracted HA and O3. This is taken at Aubrey in California on a planewave CDK with a QHY 600M camera, and we're looking at just over 58 hours of integration time. Okay, this image scores 89. That's not quite a gold award, but I think there's two judges who might want to challenge that score, and the highest of those is Steve. You're at 94. I'm going to lock in your elective challenge and take it away, sir.
Look, I know this is a very familiar target, but the way this has been processed is beautiful to me. When I'm zooming in, all the details is just really striking, and I love the enhancement of the natural colors with the narrowband filters. I don't know, I just had a really strong emotional connection as soon as this image came up. I loved it instantly, and especially the blue reflection in the middle and the stars. I'm really loving it. Even though it's a familiar target, I think it's really, really well done. I would put that on my wall.
Wow. Okay, thank you so much. Let's hear from Mike. Your score is a little lower than Steve's.
This is a very nice image. Again, as Steve said, a familiar target. The blue nebula region is really well resolved. It's often lost in renditions of this. The cone portion on the left is well done. What took me somewhat out of the image is the stars. I feel that they're a bit too bright and oversaturated, and they tend to dominate at least my eye. And it's what put me where I scored it.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from, let me see now. I want to go to Marco, and then I want to go to Lloyd.
Okay, I also put it in a higher silver. Frankly, the technicality of the image is very good. It's extremely good, and not very. It's extremely good. I love it the way it is processed. Only point to me is a little bit of the lack of originality. I've seen this one many times, and so it's not creating me the emotion of other less common, less popular targets. But all the same, I agree with Steve. Is an image that on everybody's walls really is making a very great impact. So I think if I rescore, I would probably give a couple points more. He deserves it.
Thanks, Marco. Lloyd?
Yeah. This is a really well done version of this. I'm sure many of us here have shot it and tried to process it, but there's an extraordinary level of detail in the fur that is not overcooked. Extraordinary level of detail in the cone, not overcooked. And now we don't know who these imagers are. We're not given the names, but certain imagers have a signature. And these bright, colorful stars, as much as I said something about this before, this is signature. And for the I dare someone to try to actually accomplish this at this level. Extraordinarily difficult, high level of kind of curb appeal, if you will. People are just be unbelievable that this level of detail is achieved from the ground. And I'm down with the stars. If they're going to have damn diffraction spikes, make them proud.
All righty then. Back to you, Steve.
Yeah, I'm done with the stars as well. It's a Christmas tree cluster. Bring it to me. It's good. I agree that it's definitely as a pop, and it's a matter of taste. But I think in this particular rendition, I'm really loving it. So
All right, team.
I
Currently,
actually did too.
sorry, Steve. Currently, the image is sitting on 89. Steve's asking for gold. If you could all rescore the image now, please. Steve will lock in your 94. Well, you've got him over the line. Happy Christmas. It's 91 Gold Award.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas indeed. Fantastic. I love it. We're going to take a little intermission now, folks, if that's okay. We are halfway through. We have actually got 29 images in this category. There was a few ties for us at the end there. So we're going to take a very short break. We'll be back in about 3 or 4 minutes, and everyone's free to stretch their legs now. So thanks, team.
Chabot Space and Science Center, 86,000 square foot science museum. It has a state-of-the-art 241-seat planetarium, 200-seat theater where we do hands-on science shows, laser shows, state-of-the-art 3 large telescopes, some of the largest telescopes available for public use on the West Coast, as requested by Anthony Chabot himself, that they always be free to the people of Oakland. So to this day, people can come to see the telescopes, view the stars, look out and wonder and discover.
It was just a place that I started bringing my daughters. They sort of like grew up here at Chabot. I think they can remember coming here for the last 10 plus years of their lives.
I believe that Chabot is a great place for young children to come to learn about space and also spark their imaginations on what is possible for them.
I see star clusters, galaxies, stars, and planets. It's a spacecraft.
We're not just a standalone, isolated observatory. We're actually a contributing member of the scientific community. Publications, discoveries. We've even aided in the locating of the Lost Apollo capsule with our telescope Rachel. They called the Chabot Observatory, and we were able to locate the Apollo astronauts and give coordinates to get them back home safely. And so we've really become an icon for the Bay Area.
I can't believe I went from being that little kid, curious about science and being inspired to go into science, to just having the opportunity now as an employee here to inspire other kids.
3, 2, 1. Blast off.
Spain be representing at Nebula Nest. Third telescope from Spain. Edward, this one's yours. Let's put this one together and get it up there, shall we? There we have it, another telescope ready to go up to Nebula Nest, www.nebulanest.com.au. This little beauty here is only $1.99 a month, pure rental. Get on it.
And welcome back, folks, to the live judging of the remote imaging category. I hope all of you watching at home are enjoying what you're seeing there, and feel free to jump in on the chat and throw in a shout out. Let us know where you're watching from. We say hello to people there in Chile already, and we know that you're loving this, and the judges are having a lot of fun. And thank you so much for entering, because we can't do this without you. Let's move on to the next image, folks. All right, so we're looking at supernova remnant G013.3-01.3 at Messier 24, constellation Sagittarius. Current research suggests it is a massive star-forming complex that likely contains a supernova remnant embedded within it or nearby. Narrowband data was used to make this clearly visible, and the image was taken in Namibia. The telescope is an ASA Astrograph 12-inch at f3.6. And we're looking at 22.8 hours of data. Image scores gold, 90. Congratulations. That's fabulous. Let me see now. Well, the highest of our gold scorers is Mike Selby. Let's have a chat about this one, please. Mike, take it away for me.
Very nicely done image. This image can be tricky to process because of the filaments that you're seeing. If it's not done right, they either look too harsh or they look lost. And the imager got it just right. I think the color gamut is nice. Contrast is pretty good. The stars look very good to me. I think overall it's a nice image. Very nice.
Thank you. Alyssa, you're just out of gold there.
Yeah, no, this is a beautiful image. And if I looked at it zoom out, I love the framing. I love the focus and those filaments coming out. And it's a very unusual image to me, for me specifically. So I just think it's very interesting. I think the only reason why I docked a little bit is just on the more closer view is it seems like maybe there's a little bit of sort of aberration in the stars, just like slight like mismatching. But if you look back, I think it's really well done.
Thanks so much, Alyssa. Let's also hear from Marco. You're also just into the gold there at 90.
Yes, what I really appreciate is out of the beaten path objects. So I love these type of images. I believe there is a name like Thunders or something like that of these particularly piece of sky. Only things maybe detracting me a little bit is on the dark nebula is a pitch black, which is not something usually I totally like when the darkness is is going really zero. Out of that one is not an easy field to process because it's a full of stars. You need to keep them not overpowering the full image. You have a very nice balance on the nebula, dark nebula, bright nebula emission. So beautiful job.
Thank you so much, Marco. Mike, anything further to add on this one?
No, I think the image is, as I said, excellent.
All right. Let's rescore this one, folks. I'm going to lock Mike's 91 in, and the rest of you are free to rescore this one as you see fit. And the image remains at 90, a very solid gold award. Congratulations. We're going to have a quick judge change now. Let's bring Dr. Tanya Hill back onto the panel, and let's move. Let me see now. Let's give Steve a quick break, and we'll keep things moving along. Next image, please. Okay. This is NGC 2207 and IC 2163. 80 million light years away. They're caught in an ongoing gravitational interaction with distorted spiral arms, tidal features, and widespread star formation. The image is taken in Chile on a planewave CDK-17, a Moravian camera, and LRGB chroma filters. 77 hours of data. Image score is 88. Very, very solid silver. Any judge who scores in the 90s is allowed to challenge the image. And in this case, we have two, both of them who are at 91. That's Lloyd and Marco. Gentlemen, who wants to take this one? I'll pick on Lloyd.
That's not that's not a surprise, man. No, I think this is it's a really interesting image. It's attention getting, you know, because you're seeing this interaction. You know, it has implicit motion and grabs your attention. I think the field is the star field is busy, and that's about it's delicately handled. I would say the galaxies, especially arms, are a little bit on the crunchy side. Maybe it's a deconvolution or whatever approach was used is a little bit much under zoom. But also under zoom, you get to see the interesting detail in the gold core of the rightmost galaxy, and you get to see, you know, how torn up the eye of the core is on the left one. So I think as it's a very interesting topic. If it were not as crunchy, I think the other judges would be right with me.
Thank you, Lloyd. Alyssa, your score is high, but not as high as the others.
Yeah, this is a very beautiful image. I love the colors. I think it represents the full spectrum of what a galaxy should look like, especially an interacting galaxy. I think where it loses me is it seems like it's been blurred. So like the star cores are no longer white, which seems a little bit unnatural in this case. Like they just seem dimmer than they should be. So I think that's the only thing that's kind of like the fuzziness of it seems a little unnatural, but it's really pretty. Like I really do enjoy it. And I think they really brought out the nice structure of that interaction.
Tanya, could you talk about this one for us and also share a little bit about interacting galaxies?
Yeah, absolutely. So in fact, these two galaxies, they're just in an early stage of merging. Can you believe it? So there's a lot that's going to keep going on with these two. And of course, once you get that tug of war happening, then it churns up all the gas, which is why the star formation factories start up, which is what I like to call the spiral arms. And so that's why you end up with those so much more star formation going on, the pinkish of the H alpha regions and the lovely young blue stars. So definitely a galaxy merger to be looking out for. Imagine what the images are going to be like in thousands of years' time.
Extraordinary. Marco, you're in support of this image at 91. And you're on mute. You can just unmute yourself, Marco. There we go.
Okay, sorry, I have issues with the computer. I didn't unmute. I think again, first I have a particularly preference for galaxies, so this is always giving me particularly emotion. I think this is a very beautiful image. So it's a really deserving a gold. Again, what I really like of this type of images is the balance between the background, which is not totally dark, is the right intensity, the details of the galaxy. You see a little bit of the halo around on the course, like Lloyd was highlighting. It's very well managed with some details, even on the rightmost galaxies. I think it's very well done, very well done.
Thank you so much. Let's hand it back to Lloyd for your right of reply.
I think Marco hit the nail on the head.
Alrighty.
I'm fully supportive of this as a gold image. Very unusual galaxy.
Thanks so much, team. Let's rescore this one. Currently, it's on 88. And the image has gone up a point to 89. Very good. And a fascinating target. Wow, that's something special. Let's go to the next image, please. All right. This image of the elephant's trunk resulted from 21 hours and 33 minutes worth of data. No calibration frames were used, and the images were taken in June this year. This is taken at Utah Desert Remote Observatories on a Takahashi FSQ 130 ED. And the camera is a ZWO 6200 MC Pro. We're looking at 21 hours of data. Image score is 86, a very, very solid silver award, and the judges are all unanimous in that scoring range. So I'm going to call on a comment on this one from Alyssa, please.
Yeah, this is a very pretty image of the elephant trunk. And I don't think I've seen it quite like this, where it's sort of framed by the red. So I like that. I like having sort of that more show palette in the center and then having like the H alpha on the outside. So I think that really works. I think it's just on close inspection, I think it gets a little crunchy, or we got like a little bit of like over smoothing in some areas while the stars are still kind of sharp. So I think that's the only thing where it loses a couple points for me, but very pretty, impactful image.
All right, then. And on that note, Alyssa, we're going to give you a short break. and we're going to bring Steve Body back on. And let's go to the next image, please. Just keeping our judges fresh and moving them around a little bit today. So what we have here is a LRGB HA image of the GUM 14 emission nebula and NGC 2626 emission, reflection, and absorption nebula in the constellation of Vela. This is taken in Chile on an ASA 250 Newtonian astrograph, a ZWO ASI 2600 camera, and chroma filters. And we're looking at just under 5 hours of data. And this image scores 86, a very, very solid silver award. Judges are almost unanimous with that score. Let's hear from Steve for a comment on this one, please.
So really beautiful colors in this image, nicely presented. I think for me, the stars, like even though in the previous image I said I really kind of like the Christmas effect, here it's kind of distracting me a little bit. And also the most interesting part of this image is that bottom reflection nebula, and it's really on the edge of the frame. I'm just wondering if the image was rotated a little bit and that was a little bit more of a feature, I may have scored it higher. This is where I'm sitting with it.
Thank you so much, Steve. Let's have our next image, please. Okay, we're looking at Andromeda in LRGB with continuum subtracted HA, only in areas where there is dense HA and low red overlap. The goal was to display the HA core detail while maintaining broadband color. This is taken at Sierra Remote Observatories in California on a planewave CDK and a QHY 600M camera. We're looking at 50 hours of data. And this image is scoring currently 88, which is a very solid silver award. There are 2 judges, however, who have nudged this into the gold, the highest of which is Dr. Tanya. Tanya, would you like to challenge this one? You've got plenty of support.
I would like to. I just think this is absolutely amazing. I mean, you look at this and you think this is astrophotography. Like, this isn't the Hubble. This isn't. It doesn't have all that background to it. For me, this is how H alpha in a galaxy should be shown. It's more that reddish color rather than tending, which is where H alpha shines, rather than it moving into that bluish, that pinkish area. And then when you zoom in and can still see all the structure within the nucleus of Andromeda, I just think it was a superb job.
Thank you so much. Look, all the judges are high in scoring, but the lowest of our high scorers is Mike Selby at 84.
I like this image. I think that the HA was rendered very nicely. I have a little bit of an issue with the stars where there's some halo bleed. And I think what was most striking for me was the transition from the core, which is really verging on blowing out, and it transitions out in a rather abrupt manner. And given the fact that this is a fairly common target and the amount of integration time, I would have felt that could have been handled better.
Thanks, Mike. Let's hear from Lloyd. Your score is exactly on the average at 88.
You know, I think this is a nicely done image. The HA is in the limb is among the best I've seen. Now I believe the imager really was focusing on the core. I've been told for years and years and years, heavy HA on the core of M31 reveals some interesting stuff. And I never really had the tools to do it. I believe that's what this image is. That's kind of the key feature, is resolving that. And so I appreciate it for that. I fall off a little bit because it seems to be at the expense of the stars in the halo. There's a blue halo that we should see among the HA at the top and where there's less at the bottom. So I understand, I think, what the imager was going for. And they achieved that at the core, but maybe at the expense of some of the other parts.
Thanks so much for that, Lloyd. Let's hand back to Tanya. You've got a right of reply.
Look, all valid comments. How lucky are we that we get to spend the morning or evening for some, staring at such beautiful images of space. We're so lucky.
So, folks, Tanya's looking for gold. Currently, the image is on 88. Tanya's locked in. If you could rescore, please. Oh, the silver tongue of Dr. Tanya Hill got him over the line to a gold award. Congratulations to the entrant, and congratulations, Tanya. That's a big fat gold award. Well done. All righty. Let's keep things moving, and we'll bring Alyssa back onto the panel. We'll give Lloyd a short break, and we'll go to our next image, if that's okay. So here we're looking at Mandel-Wilson 9, the Southern Celestial Serpent, revealing faint Milky Way cirrus in Apis, with wispy dust veils drifting before distant galaxies and rich southern stars. This is taken in Antwerp in Victoria on a William Optics UltraCat 76. It's a ZWO ASI 2600 mm Pro, and we're looking at 18 hours of integration time. Marco, I don't have your score. There we go. Thank you so much. All right, we got a gold award at 90. Woohoo! Congratulations. Almost unanimous, but probably worthwhile having a chat about the image. Let's see now. Let's lock in Marco. Let's lock you in at 91, and we'll take that as a challenge, and let's talk about the image. Marco, you're currently muted. There we go.
Yes, I have issues on my keyboards apparently. So and my voice. So I really like the sense of a river. These images give me, there is a kind of flow emotion that is really impacting me. So I like the framing. I like the way the picture is processed with a very nice balance between the stars and the nebula. It's colorful enough, considering this is not really a colorful region, but in some parts we can see a blue reflection on the nebula, which is well preserved. Typically, this type of images tends to be very monochrome on the dusty parts. So to me, overall, is an extremely well done job.
All right, thanks so much, Marco. Steve, let's hear from you. You were just out of gold.
Yeah, like first of all, it's really beautiful frame. I love the movement in the dust here. I think the couple points I had were in the denser region of the dust, the ones that are really brown. I wish it was maybe a tiny little bit more contrast to highlight a little bit more of the details. And then there's this blue reflection at the top of the image. It's nice and subtle. I just wish it was just a little bit like a higher saturation potentially. And I think the blues tend to be shifted a little bit towards the purple-ish. So I don't know, it's a very, very minor comment, but I think I may be convinced to nudge this higher, to be honest.
Well, you've got some support there, Marco, and you've got Alyssa there with you. Alyssa, let's hear from you, please.
Yeah, what everyone was saying, it's so dynamic. It really takes on a life of its own. It feels like a vortex that's just gonna pull you up. So I love the feeling of this one. The framing really is what makes it, and it takes an object that maybe we're a little bit more familiar with, but like I feel like it's completely different. So I don't have much to critique here. I think some of the stars seem like there's like a little bit of the color separation, just slightly chromatic aberration. I'm not sure exactly. It's really not a big deal, but overall I think it's a really great image.
Thanks, Alyssa. Marco, anything further to add? That's rescore, folks.
I think we are
sorry.
aligned, yes. No, I think we are all aligned. I mean, it's
all right. Let's rescore this one, folks. Marco, we'll lock you in at 91, and let's see what everyone else wants to do. Image has gone up a point to 91. Congratulations to the entrant. You've managed to get all judges agreeing that this is a gold award. So very well done. That's exciting, isn't it? Unanimous gold award. Alrighty then. Let's move on to our next image, please. Formed by the explosion of a massive star 12,000 years ago, the Vela supernova remnant is a cosmic garden of spectacular events in the past of the southern skies. This is taken at Atacama in Chile on a Takahashi FSQ 106 EDX4 and a QHY 268M camera. We're looking at 56 hours of data. And we have a gold award. Congratulations. That said, there's a little bit of discrepancy in the scoring. There's some a little higher than others. So I think we should talk about this image. And let's see now. We're going to take the highest, that's you, Tanya, as a challenge, if that's all right. You've got plenty of support. You've got 87, 88, 90 and 91 with you. Take it away.
Yeah, well, I mean, Vela, it's a beautiful photogenic supernova remnant. I think, again, the interplay between the reds and the blues are really lovely, and the dynamic of what's going on as this star explodes, and then that expansion that is then hitting the interstellar medium, the stuff between the stars, and then making it glow. Yeah, it's an image that you can get lost in. It's wonderful to be able to zoom up through it. And I think it looks fantastic.
Thanks so much, Tanya. Steve, let's hear from you. You were just out of gold.
Yeah, beautiful image. I think the reason I didn't bring it to gold is two technical issues. One, the stars, they're all kind of this, especially the blue stars, you see a little bit of a purple halo on the top left corner of every single one of them. And another thing to me is when you really zoom in, the details get pretty crunchy. I think deconvolution maybe pushed a bit hard for me.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from, let me see now. Alyssa, you're exactly on the average at 90.
Yeah, I hear what everyone's saying. Beautiful image. I've seen this image many times, but it's so beautiful. The structure is just, it's so crispy, and like not in a bad way. Like I feel like crunchy can go too far, but like this is like a crisp that I like it's details that I've never even paid attention to before. I feel like I do see like some of those aberrations that Steve was talking about, like a little bit of trailing, it seems, in the stars, or maybe a little bit of dragging elongation, but doesn't bother me too much because I look at the beautiful image and it's very overwhelmingly pretty.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. Tanya, anything further to add?
No, I think it's again lovely to get the details from Steve, but I think Alyssa nailed it.
Let's rescore, folks. Currently it's on 90. Tanya, you're locked in. And the image now scores 90. Congratulations. There's another gold award. Fantastic. I should mention that there were something like 180 odd images that were entered into this category, and we're seeing the top 29 of them. So the standard is very high here. So watch and learn, folks, because there's some amazing images here, and you're hearing from the very best in the business about what makes them extraordinary. Okay. Lloyd, we should bring you back onto the panel if that's okay, and we'll give Mike Selby a short break, please. Let's have our next image. So here we have an LRGB of Lines Dark Nebulae, catalogue entry number 673. So LDN 673 is a dark, fragmented molecular cloud located approximately 400 to 500 light years from Earth in the constellation of Aquila. The image is taken from Chile on an ASA 250, and it is 3 hours of data. And the image is currently scoring 89, which is a very solid silver award. Got a couple of judges who have just nudged it over into gold, and the strongest of those is Tanya Hill. Tanya, you've got support from Marco, and let's see how this works out.
Again, this was one going through them where it was like, oh, this is interesting, and I love the focusing in on that dark nebula. I mean, Aquila is just off the plane or near the plane of the Milky Way, and I suppose maybe it's caught me because it is one of my favorite regions of the Milky Way, when you can stare up at that and just see that band of light is made of so many stars. And then I love the detail that has been brought out in that dark nebula in the middle.
Thank you so much. Alyssa, your score is high, but not quite as high.
Yeah, this is a very nice image. I think I've seen it a bit often, so I think that just it's not as impactful to me, maybe, and just because of the region of the sky is like a dust cloud, but that's not the fault of the observer, because I think the technical processing is handled really well. I think the only thing that maybe I would add is maybe get a little bit more contrast in that dark cloud. I know it's a dark cloud, but just maybe just a little bit more sort of lightness in it. And then just the most darkest nodules, keeping that dark, I think would just elevate it a little bit. But it's a really pretty image. I like the color. I like the gold sort of glittery nature of it. It's nice.
Thanks so much, Alyssa. Lloyd, I think your score is very close to the average at 88.
Yeah, I concur with what's being said. You know, the difficulty with this target is making it interesting, and to make it interesting, I think you have to do some extraordinary things with it, like the rendering of the darkest clouds, and in order to get something like that a little bit more impactful, I think you got to lay on it a little longer. Deeper integration would help to make a difficult area to make interesting a lot more interesting if we saw, for example, some great details in the dust clouds itself. Other than that, it's pretty good. I think it could use a little dash of contrast as is, and it would still stand up well.
Thanks so much, team. Tanya, right of reply.
I think we've
okay.
It's really great.
All right, team, let's rescore this one. Tanya, you're locked in at 93. And the image remains at 89. Missed it by that much. Well done. That's a fantastic score regardless. Should be very proud of that. Let's go to our next image, please. All right. As this complex is in the distant large Magellanic Cloud, it is really a collection of many objects. I wanted to highlight the similarity with the rosette, and what we have here are massive young stars carving out the central cavity. This is taken in Chile on a plane wave DR350, a QHY 600M, chroma filters, and 45 hours of integration time. Boom, straight to gold. But not only straight to gold, 4 judges have gone straight to gold. So I think that's going to be something we should have a quick chat about. Let's continue the conversation because I think the folks in the audience are enjoying it as well. Tanya, let's take this as a challenge. You're on 94. We'll then hear from Alyssa, and then we'll hear from one of the others.
Again, I haven't seen this kind of take being done from the star forming regions in the LMC. And so I think, yeah, again, it was the surprise novelty for me. Maybe there are images out there. And just I love the way that you can see that cavity being blown out by the central star cluster, and the wispiness of the H alpha is really beautiful. So yeah, just to me, I thought it was an exquisite image.
Thanks, Tanya. Alyssa?
Yeah, this is a beautiful image. And so I feel bad that I'm the lowest one, but no, that doesn't. It's very, very impactful. It's very well handled technically. I think it's so nice. I think the only thing that's throwing me a little bit off is the color balancing. It's just, it seems like it's just slightly blue leaning, just ever so slightly. And I know we astronomers don't like green. I'm there with you very much so, but I just think it would be helped to break up that red just a little bit with pushing the green just a little bit with your narrow band, and then just get a little bit of yellow in there. But otherwise, I think it's a very, very nice image.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from Steve. Steve, you're just on gold at 90.
Yeah, so first of all, really beautiful rendition of this object. I think people need to understand that this particular nebula is actually quite far away compared to other nebulae that we see, because this is part of a large Magellanic Cloud. I think it's 160,000 light years away or something like that. So actually extracting details from this is really difficult. And I think it's really well handled, and I like the similarity to the rosette and the processing. I agree with what Alyssa is saying about the blues a little bit. Maybe a little bit of green would bring a little bit of that orange back into it, which would be nice, but I thought this was really, really well processed.
Thank you, Steve. Tanya, anything further to add?
No, thank you, team.
All right. Well, let's rescore this one. We'll lock Tanya in at 94. Currently, we're on 91. And the image is remaining at 91. Very solid gold award. Now, I could be wrong, but I think I read somewhere that sort of mouth underneath the eyes of this object is something like 1,000 light years across, which is nothing short of absolutely amazing when you start thinking about the numbers that Steve brought up. You know, it's 160,000 light years away. And here we are, you know, we can shoot these things. Amazing, amazing. Let's go to the next image, please. Okie dokie. The Lion, the Wizard, and the Wardrobe Malfunction. It's not Narnia, but a large swathe of the king's constellation Cephas. This is a 12-panel mosaic revealing a wonderland of magical deep sky creatures. This is taken in New Mexico on a Takahashi FSQ 106, chroma filters, and holy smoke, 415 hours of data. Alyssa, I just need it. Thank you so much. Got it now. This image gets gold at 90. Congratulations to the entrant. Look, let's have a chat about this one. Lloyd, let's hear from you first, please, sir.
Hi. This is a shockingly wide field, the immediate visual impact. You can see this on a 40-foot wall somewhere, but more than that, and I also I appreciate when imagers do interesting things with the narrow band as opposed to straight, SHO and all the other things. But more than that, one last little set of comments is within this image or plethora of difficult to process objects. The octopus thing or the squid thing is there, 131 is there, other things I don't know the names of. The wizard is up there. Oh, I know this other little guy. So you get a really pretty good guide map to what actually exists in the sky. And I'm always a big fan of things seen in a new light. And I think the effort behind it likely is a big part of that, because who wants to do mosaics? At least I don't. But I do want these results. So yeah, this is one of the best images I've seen today.
Thank you so much, Lloyd. Tanya, you've given this a good score, just not quite as high as the others.
Yes, and certainly the wide field and being able to explore such a vast area of space is beautiful and put everything into context. For me, it's just the colors have been, maybe my bias, I'm too traditional, but I feel like the colors have just been pushed a bit too far to the orange there.
Thank you, Tanya. Alyssa, you're just out of gold there.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone's saying. The feat of getting this is insanity, and the consistency in which you process it and put it together, it's very seamless. I'm with Tanya on that. Like, I just want to see, I think it's beautiful, the orange that you have, but just getting in the darker sections, bringing more of that sort of like burgundy and red, just to separate it, because then you get a little bit overwhelmed with that color since it's sort of like the main palette. But amazing job. It's beautiful. It deserves a gold.
Right then, I'm guessing you're going up. You're talking yourself up there by the sound of it.
Don't even need the
yeah. All righty. Lloyd, back to you, sir.
I think I appreciate the comments. There might be a more traditionalist approach to this to twist the orange a little bit red. It might be worth looking at that. I see what your comments are. I'm overwhelmed by the detail. I'm still looking at stuff I don't even know the damn names of. So again, I'm a sucker for seeing the sky in a new light, and this does it for me in that regard.
Thanks so much, Lloyd. We're going to lock you in at 93. Everyone else is free to rescore the image. And the image is remaining at 90. Very solid gold award. It's a bit of a greatest hits of the Northern Hemisphere objects, that one, isn't it? It's fantastic. Like you said, it's got everything in there. Just the scale of it, because normally in fact, the squid was the overall winner last year of the competition. And it's pretty interesting seeing it in context with all the other objects in that area of space around it. So I know people say that, we've got the best stuff to photograph in the southern skies, but wow, you've got some pretty cool things up there in the north as well. And there they all are. So well done to the entrant. Let's bring Mike Selby back onto the panel, and Tanya will give you a short break. Next image, please. Okay. Entrance statement: instead of treating bright alnilam as an obstacle, I made it the subject. It is neatly placed in a void between many details in emission, reflection, and dark nebulae. This is taken at HCRO in New Mexico on a FSQ 106 with chroma filters, 56 hours of data. Image scores gold at 90. Congratulations to the entrant. You've almost got them all over the line. And We've certainly had a good chance to talk about all the other images, so this one should be no exception. Alyssa, you're the highest, so we're going to lock you in at 892, and then we're going to hear from Mike Selby.
Oh, sorry, I go first.
Yes, please.
Yes. Yeah, I'm overwhelmed by it's just the intrigue of this image. I think it's so unique. I think the idea to make the star the center is a very interesting idea. And I think at first I was kind of like, I'm not sure, but then I was like, yeah, this is really nice because it kind of feels like everything's coming from this center point, which I find very interesting. And then you kind of do a little spin around the whole thing and really just these ghostly features that are highlighted by the H alpha. Yeah, I'm just having fun time just examining it. I really enjoy it.
Thank you so much. Mike?
I like this image very much. I think it's unusual the way he chose to do it, possibly because of the star wash, or perhaps not, but some of the brighter dust clouds appear to be a bit too soft to my eye. Outside of that, this is really excellent.
Steve?
I really love the presentation of this. It's fairly unusual to have a star like that bang in the middle. I really love the details in the wispy dust. Maybe to me, the saturation of the dust is just a touch high. But that's my personal taste. I would kind of bring that down a bit. But otherwise, I think it's definitely deserving of a gold.
Back to you, Alyssa.
Yeah, it's really, I don't have anything extra to say. I think it's just very impactful. I think it's a very creative decision. So definitely think it deserves gold.
Thanks, folks. Let's rescore this one. Gone up a point, 91. Congratulations to the entrant. That's a fabulous result. Very brave framing, in my opinion, to take a star and bang it right in the middle and make it the feature, particularly when it's one of those three in Orion's belt that are, so challenging for photographers, particularly when they're imaging the Horsehead Nebula, which is nearby. I think the photographer's done a terrific job here, and compositionally, it's a bold presentation. Well done. Cool. Let us go to the next image, please. Comet C2025 R3 Pan-STARRS on the 10th of May, when the comet was close to the Orion Nebula. This is a mosaic of 10 panels and taken at Namibia. This is using an ASA astrograph, 12-inch, and it's ZWO ASI 6200 mm Pro. 2.7 hours of integration. Thanks, team. This image has scored 88, which is a very solid silver award. Got two judges, though, that have just nudged this into gold. And as we have one that I know is a bit of a specialist in this area, I'd like to hear from Marco on this one, please. Marco, you're currently on mute.
Yeah, so I would say first, it's an impactful image. So the reason of my score is because it's giving me an emotion. I mean, combination of the comet and the deep sky background is always impactful. I particularly appreciate the complexity to have such a large panel, such a large mosaic, with moving object in it, which is the reason why I gave an higher score. There are some technical flaws. There are some traces and not fully correct or satellites. There is a little bit of noise, a little bit of stretchy and there. But considering the complexity, I believe there has been done a very, very good job. So that's why, to me, this is a gold image.
Thanks so much, Marco. Let's hear from Steve. Your score of 83.
Yeah, so really impactful image. I agree with Marco, and just it's quite a high difficulty to really have both these objects side by side. The reason I scored it lower is because it's just too many technical issues for me. There's a lot of streaks everywhere, and in between the Running Man and Orion, you really just a clear kind of seam and patchy region here. The core of Orion is blown, so it's just these things. Unfortunately, when I zoom in, it's kind of, it pulls me back. At first, zoomed out, I was like, wow, amazing, and then when I zoomed in, there was just too many of these flows that prevented me from scoring into gold.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from Mike Selby. Your score is exactly on the average of 88.
So I had basically very similar comments to Steve. I took it in perspective, so I scored a bit higher than him because I think the composition was interesting. I would suggest, though, since this ultimately gets composited, that maybe a bit more time on Orion would have brought this into gold. But since it's a common target, it's in the frame. As Steve commented, Running Man and the transition is a bit of a problem, as is the color depth on the Running Man itself. And then the core and trapezium being blown out is kind of a no-no. The other issue was the brighter stars just have too much of a blue halo. But the composition is great. It's a really nice image.
Thanks so much. Marco, back to you for your right of reply.
I agree with the comments. I mean, I see the shortcoming too. It's more about, to me, the complexity to get a moving object and a background. You have limited time and so on to prize.
Thanks so much. Guys, the team, the image is currently scoring 88. Marco is looking for gold. If you would rescore the image, please. Lloyd, I just need a score from you, please. There we go. Thank you so much. This image remains at 88, a very solid silver award, and we had a good chance to talk about that one, so thank you for that, team. Marco, on that note, we're going to give you a short break, and we're going to bring Dr. Tanya Hill back onto the panel. And let's go to our next image, please. All right, this is the Centaurus cluster behind the Milky Way veil. Start with the stars and then look between the stars. This is a 112-hour LRGB field where hidden Centaurus background galaxies slowly emerge through the Milky Way veil. This is taken in Chile on a Takahashi CCA 250 with LRGB filters and a Planewave L500. I'm thinking that's the mount. Sorry, guys. 225 exposures. Currently, the score of this one is 89. I say currently because we have two judges into the gold range, and both ladies have scored this exactly at 92. Who wants to take this one on?
I'm happy to take it on.
All right, Alyssa, it's yours.
Okay, unless you feel strongly. Yeah, no, I think this is a difficult field to like make very dramatic and compelling because there's not like a focus point here, so there's so much to look at, but I don't mind that in this case. I feel like the amount of exposure, you got such nice depth and you handled it really well, and it's just like enough variation that I'm just think it's just really nice. Like I'd put it as my background. It's just like a really interesting image, and I can see the background galaxies, and yeah, I just think it's very hard to make a field like this compelling, and I think you achieved it.
Thank you so much. Mike Selby.
So I tend to agree with Alyssa, but with sort of an opposite conclusion, which is that on this particular field with this scope, everything is getting lost. And while it's interesting, it lacks a subject. It really, in my view, either should have been a much longer focal length going in tighter, or perhaps a different portion of the field. The other thing I think I might have done was take the background down a tick or two to at least attempt to make the galaxies stand out more. But it's a very nice effort.
Thank you so much. Right on the average here. Steve, you're at 88.
Yeah, I like this field very much. I think to me is that it seems that both the stars and the galaxy have a uniformity in the glow surrounding it, and it flattens the image a little bit. I'm kind of agreeing here with Mike that maybe there was a way to make this a little bit more less uniformity, to have a little bit more of a subject focus. So this is kind of what I'm missing from here. Maybe it's the luminance filter, the way it was blended in. I'm not too sure, but yeah, this is what I'm noticing.
Thank you so much, Steve. Now, let's hear from Tanya. You were also up there at 92.
Yes, it was an image that I just got lost in. I think it reminds me of just how you can stare at an image and just realize that's how insignificant we are and how much beauty there is out there as well. So that's why, to me, actually, the fact that it doesn't have a focus, like Alyssa, that's part of what I'm enjoying in looking at the image. The colors, I think, are just beautiful in the way that they've been worked. And also the fact that as you stare at it, there are patches where the dark becomes dark, and then others where you see that there is just so much light from stars that darkness doesn't happen. So that's what drew me in.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Alyssa, back to you.
Yeah, I hear what everyone's saying. I think usually I enjoy having a focus, but I think in this case, this one's like in a Where is Waldo kind of thing, where it invites you to inspect it, and I'm just enjoying it. And the processing is just really well handled. Those stars diffraction spikes are just like so crisp. It's a really approachable image for me in that way. So that's why I got the gold.
Thank you very much, folks. This one's currently on 89, and Alyssa's championing for gold. Let's see what happens here. Missed it by that much. Sorry. This one remains at 89, but we had a good chance to talk about it, and it is a lot of fun sort of jumping in there playing Where's Wally, I must admit. Good comments, great feedback, and great discussion, team. Next image, please. Okay, Centaurus A through the galactic veil. A wide field view of Centaurus A, NGC 5128, a peculiar galaxy in Centaurus framed by faint galactic cirrus and numerous more distant background galaxies. Taken in Antwerp in Victoria on a William Optics UltraCat 76, and we're looking at 27 hours of integration time. This image scores silver at 88, very solid silver award. Tanya, are we happy with that? It's up to
yes, you. Yeah, I am happy with that. I would like to comment though that I just,
please do.
Yeah, I think it's such a different view of the Centaurus galaxy from what I'm used to seeing, especially like these days. And in when you're looking at astronomical data of this, and we tend to layer like the radio wavelengths and the infrared, and Centaurus galaxy is just so interesting in itself. But then to just have this vision of it where you've pulled right back, and it's now almost ghost-like, floating among that galactic cirrus, which we've talked about a lot, but just remind ourselves that gas there is being lit up by our entire Milky Way galaxy. That's why we're seeing these little wispy clouds running through it. That I love having that kind of, it's almost black and white, a view of Centaurus compared to a lot of what we see these days. So I do want to have a shout out for the creative elements of this that the photographer has brought.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Let's quickly judge change again. We'll bring Marco back on board, and we'll give Lloyd a quick break. And let's go to our next image, please. Okay. M78 in LRGB plus continuum subtracted HA. The entrant wanted to preserve the natural broadband color of the image, so the HA was only added where the red channel overlap was low and at low content. This is taken from California on a planewave CDK, 47 hours of data. This image scores a silver award at 89, but we're not done yet. Okay, we've got two judges at 92 and other scores of 86, 88, and 87. Steve, let's give you a crack at challenging this one.
Yeah, really beautiful resolution in this image. Particularly like the way the HA has been handled. It kind of comes through this burgundy tone, which I really like. I also like the control of the dynamic range and the beautiful blue hues, but also the top, the bottom right corner of those details there have been really well handled. I think it is a very common target, so I understand that we've all seen this quite a bit of time, but I still think in terms of the way it's being produced, it's been really well handled, and I think it's worthy of a gold.
All right then, thank you so much, Steve. Mike Selby, let's hear from you, please, sir.
I also think it's a very nice image. My only criticisms, actually, the HA, there's a central portion on the blue reflection area that does have actually a strong HA component if it's put in correctly with continuum subtraction, and I think that this kind of missed. There's also some additional dust on the outer areas that's a bit muted in this, and that's really what kept me from going gold.
Thanks so much, Mike. Now, right on the average, or very close to it, is Marco. Marco, I think you're on mute, but let's hear from you, please, sir.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the picture is absolutely beautiful. I just not sure about the gold because it's missing a little bit of a punch. Many details are there, but the contrast could be a little bit stronger, the color a little bit more intense. So there are a few things that is preventing me to put it on in a full gold. Out of that one, it's a very natural looking. Is a very well, very good rendering of a very popular object.
Thanks, Marco. Tanya, let's hear from you as well. You were with Steve at 92.
Yes, yeah, I just think this is a beautiful image. Like Steve said, I love all the in that bottom right corner. When you zoom in, you can see the lovely glowing from the starlight. Yeah, I think they've done a real. To me, it's in some ways it's subtle, but it draws me in terms of the colors and just that beautiful dust band. And to know that I've got to throw the science in, I can't help myself. The Euclid Space Telescope, a European Space Agency observatory, it's recently looked at this and just was able to peer through into the infrared and uncover all the new stars that are being born there. And what a magical stellar nursery that we're looking at.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Tanya, and thanks for the insights. That's great. Steve, back to you.
Yeah, some really good insight, I think, from other members of the panel, especially the hydrogen alpha, like in the middle. That's something you would really only know by doing it. So I think these are valid points for photographer to improve on that. Still, though, I think it's very impactful and beautifully processed, and I get a strong emotional kind of reaction when looking at this. So I still think in my book it's worthy of a gold.
Well, folks, the image is currently scoring 89. I'm going to lock Steve in at 92, and everyone else is free to rescore this image. And the image remains at 89. Well, we had a good chance to talk about it, and that was fantastic and well done. Now, if I am correct, and just forgive me while I just sort myself out here for one moment. That is the last image of our category. Yes, that is correct. Okay, so that brings us to the close of the online judging for the deep space, for the remote imaging category of the Astrophotography Prize. I'd very much like to thank our amazing panel of judges. Your feedback has been passionate, detailed, and incredibly valuable. I know it'll be appreciated by all the entrants, and I loved all those science comments. That was cool. Thanks to our broadcast producer, Nathan Bingham, our software engineer and competition tech guru, Daniel Bingham, for bringing the event to you today. To our entrants, thank you so much for submitting this amazing collection of images. It's been an absolute genuine pleasure to see them judged by the panel. If you didn't make the top 25 this time, please take the opportunity to rewatch the judging, listen to the feedback, learn what you can, and come back even stronger next year. Of course, a huge thank you to the powerhouse team behind the competition and our sponsors, Chabot Space and Science Centre, Deep Sky West, our remote imaging category sponsor, and Sidereal, Chroma Technology, Voyager Software, Move Shoot Move, Nebula Nest, Bay Photo, and Sky Safari. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you to all of those of you who joined us online today. There was some fun there in the comments as well, and helped us celebrate excellence in astrophotography. Before we finish, don't forget that the winners of the remote imaging category, and in fact all the categories, will be announced during a live awards presentation and exhibition opening at the Chabot Space and Science Centre on October the 9th. Make sure you have that date in your calendar. Until then, thank you for joining us. I'm Andy Campbell. We wish you all the very best, and of course, clear skies.
Chabot Space and Science Center, 86,000 square foot science museum. It has a state-of-the-art 241-seat planetarium, 200-seat theater where we do hands-on science shows, laser shows, state-of-the-art 3 large telescopes, some of the largest telescopes available for public use on the West Coast, as requested by Anthony Chabot himself, that they always be free to the people of Oakland. So to this day, people can come to see the telescopes, view the stars, look out and wonder and discover.
It was just a place that I started bringing my daughters. They sort of like grew up here at Chabot. I think they can remember coming here for the last 10 plus years of their lives.
I believe that Chabot is a great place for young children to come to learn about space and also spark their imaginations on what is possible for them.
I see star clusters, galaxies, stars, and planets. It's a spacecraft. Wow.
We're not just a standalone, isolated observatory. We're actually a contributing member of the scientific community. Publications, discoveries. We've even aided in the locating of the Lost Apollo capsule with our telescope Rachel. They called the Chabot Observatory, and we were able to locate the Apollo astronauts and give coordinates to get them back home safely. And so we've really become an icon for the Bay Area.
I can't believe I went from being that little kid, curious about science and being inspired to go into science, to just having the opportunity now as an employee here to inspire other kids.
3, 2, 1. Blast off.
Spain be representing at Nebula Nest. Third telescope from Spain. Edward, this one's yours. Let's put this one together and get it up there, shall we? There we have it, another telescope ready to go up to Nebula Nest. www.nebulanest.com.au. This little beauty here is only $1.99 a month, pure rental. Get on it.